Right, let's get some shooting into the game. So we've got our movement, it's alright, but we need a bit of shooting. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to create another 2D sprite. I'm just going to make it a square. Well, if I double click on things, it will take me to what that thing is, okay? So that's why I just zoomed in there. So I double click on my square. I'm just going to change it to orange for this example. And then you've got loads of different tools up here in the bar, or it might be on your screen here. Wherever it is, you find it and get ready to use one, okay? So I'm just going to click scale, and I'm going to grab this middle. So if I grab the red, you see how it only scales on one side. If you grab the middle and drag in, you're scaling it equally. So you can see, if you watch this little scale where it says 111, when I'm doing that, it scales it equally, okay? So I can scale it down a little bit, and I'm just going to drag it out in front of the player. And what I might do is I might scale it down a little bit more, and I'm going to close it up a little bit like that. So it's a little bit fat on the front, okay? Cool. And I'm going to call this my fire point. So this is where my bullets would be spawning in the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this player script up there. So I've got my scripts at the top. I'm going to add a new script. And this script is simply going to be called shooting. So I'll load up my shooting script. And there we go. First things we need to do is get the references we're going to need for this script to succeed, okay? So we've got public, game object, bullet, prefab. So this is going to be our bullet. This is what we've got to grab, okay? And I'll show you how to make a prefab later, so that'll make a bit more sense. But basically, we're grabbing this bullet. That's all we're doing. So we've got this bullet as our reference. We're going to spawn in and shoot at the player, at the enemies. Then we're going to do public, transform, we're going to call it fire point. So that's what we've already made. So it's that game object. We're going to use that as a place to spawn bullet. And last off, we're going to need public, float, bullet, and then we're going to do force. Oh, if I could spell correctly and stop pressing unlock, that would be great. So bullet force is just going to be the amount we shoot it and propel it forward. Okay? Now, we've got a start once again. Unfortunately, we're not using our start. Goodbye, start. We don't need you. Okay? We are just going to do this for now. So we're going to set up, so we press the left mouse button, it's going to shoot for us, okay? So I'm going to type if input dot get key down, brackets open, key code dot mouse 0. And what I'll do is I'll do open brackets there, like that. So that's basically saying if the key is down, which is mouse 0, which is your left click, mouse 1 is your right click, okay? Just in case you didn't know why mouse 0 exists. Doesn't really make sense, I know. But if that key is pressed, we're going to do something. And what we're going to do is we're just going to call something called shoot. Shoot, like that. Now, what you'll get is you'll get a reference saying shoot doesn't actually exist. And that's true. So what we need to do is we need to do void shoot. And it'll fix that error. So this is where we're going to spawn the bullet, okay? So I'll put in a little comment here. I'll call it spawning bullets. So basically we need to figure out some code to spawn in these bullets now, okay? So we need to set our current bullet to equal our bullet prefab, okay? So we're going to go spawn a bullet and we'll set everything up to this bullet. And it basically just needs to be something called instantiate. Yeah, so basically just, as it says there, clones the object original and returns, okay? So we're going to do the bullet prefab that we'll be making. We'll put that in there. We'll get the fire point. And we're going to do dot position on that. So we're getting the fire point's position. And then we're going to do fire point dot rotation. Now, I do apologize. There we go. So we've got our fire point position and our rotation, and we've got our bullet prefab, okay? And we're just going to leave it for that for a second. We'll come back to our script and make some more adjustments. So we're just going to grab our fire point, put it in here. We're going to add 5, let's say, onto the bullet force, okay? So that's our shooting set up, and we're going to drag that script up to the player script so we can see that quite easily. And I'll save my scene. Now we need to make a bullet, and the easiest way to make a bullet is we're going to right click in this scene, sprite, circle. Make sure it's not a parent of anything. Drag it out from your player, so make sure it's not. If it's here, remove that by dragging it up. Close that little player bit up and drag it beneath. Just call it bullet for now, okay? Now, I'm going to change this to a silver because bullets are usually silver. I'm going to add a circle collider onto it. And colliders are basically just things where if it hits something else, it's going to do something. So if it hit this, it bounce off it, or hit and knock it rather than just going inside of it. Okay, so we're going to bang bang. If we wanted it to be a trigger, then it would go inside of it, and then once you've hit that spot, maybe a secret door opens or something. But for now, because it's a bullet, we want it to like hit the player and stop, or hit the enemies and stop. Sorry. And we're going to add another rigid body to this because we're going to make it fly. So turn the gravity scale off again, and we're going to save. Okay. Now, what we might need to do is just scale it down. So I'm going to scale it down, and what I'm actually going to do first is I'm going to move it to my fire point. I'm going to look at the size of my fire point and try and work out how much more I need to bring it down to make it look a bit better. So I think that's quite good. That's quite good for a bullet spawning out of it. Like, it's a bit bigger, but it's fine. It'll be easy to see. Now what we're going to do is drag and drop the bullet into assets. And what it will do is, if you've done it right, your bullet will go blue. And you might be thinking, why is that? And don't worry, I'm going to tell you. So, you made a prefab. So prefabs are a saved game object, and it makes it into like a bit of saved data. So we can keep calling it in. So when we spawn a bullet, we'd be like, bang, there's a bullet, bang, there's a bullet, bang, there's a bullet. And we'll use it for enemies as well. So we can delete the original bullet in the scene now, because we've got a backup save of a prefab down here. And that's where we go to our player. We drag in that prefab into bullet prefab. So just drag from the assets into there. And then we're going to press play. And now you can see we're firing away. Look, boom, 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 boom. So we've got our bullets spawning in. You can see them all spawning in on the left. Look how many I've got. I keep spawning them in, keep spawning them in. Perfect. Might need to fix them moving though, because it's not having the correct kind of weight to it that we wanted. So we're going to open up our shooting script again. So we double click there. And now we need to add in logic so it actually shoots. So we're going to do rigid body .2D, and we're going to do RB. So we get in its rigid body on the bullet. Do the bullet get component rigid body 2D. I'll close it up like that. So basically, we're just getting the bullet's rigid body that's spawned, and then we're going to do .add force. Brackets open. We'll do fire point .up, and then we're going to times it by bullet force. So we're times it by the force we want to shoot it, and we're going to set the force mode. So if I could spell right, that would be amazing. So we're going to do force mode .2D force mode 2D impulse, and then we'll put a little semicolon at the end because they just fix the ends of scripts. It means that line is complete, so we don't need to add any more. And we'll go back into the game. Now, if you've got your fingers crossed, I do too. We're going to shoot. So now we've got our bullet shooting. As you can see, not very fast. So if we put it up to 10, it's going a bit faster. I'm going to do 50. That's our bullet shooting now, okay? So if you make any changes while play, as you see, it won't stay. So like if I press play and I change it and I get it to probably like, let's say 45, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice bullet scene. If I press play again, it's not going to save. So I'm going to change it to 50 now. And I'll save it. And then when I go into the game, everything's working as it should. Okay? So now you've got your bullet spawning. Okay? So now you've got the elements of a top-down shooter. Easy. Okay? So that is the shooting part. What we need now, as you can probably tell, is we need some enemies to kill. So that's what we're going to focus on next time. Okay?